A long, long time ago, in an ancient era, shrouded in magical mist, when the echoes of the gods still lingered over the rivers, the Van Lang kingdom thrived, under the wise rule of King Hung the 18th. It was a time of unparalleled prosperity. The granaries were always full, and songs of peace echoed through every village. But the king had a treasure more precious than any golden throne. His daughter, Princess Myra. She wasn't just any royal. She was like a celestial being. Her skin was as smooth and white as a pearl from the deepest ocean. Her eyes were as clear as autumn water, and she stood tall and graceful, like a willow branch swaying in the breeze. Her beauty was legendary, whispered about in every corner of the world. Many believed she was a goddess who had descended from the heavens. As Princess Myra came of age, King Hung felt the immense responsibility of finding her a husband, a decision that would shape not only her future, but the destiny of the entire kingdom. He wanted a suitor who was not only incredibly strong, but also deeply virtuous, someone who would protect and cherish his daughter. So, a grand royal decree was sent out to the four corners of the world, from the cloud-covered mountain peaks to the farthest shores, announcing a magnificent competition to find a worthy prince consort. News of the princess's legendary beauty traveled far and wide. Soon, the Western King arrived from a distant land, his entourage thundering into the capital. He brought with him a staggering fortune of gold and silver, along with traditional offerings of golden battle and silver areca nuts, all to ask for Myra's hand. But beneath this dazzling display of wealth lurked a dark and tyrannical ambition. King Hung, feeling uneasy, immediately summoned his royal advisors to the grand palace. In the flickering torchlight, the advisors spoke with one voice. They warned the king that the Western King was a cruel man, old and with a strange appearance, completely unsuitable for their precious princess. Listening to their wise counsel, King Hung firmly rejected the proposal. This rejection planted seeds of conflict. The relationship between the Van Lang kingdom and the Western King's lands soured, turning into a bitter rivalry. But as one door closed, destiny was already preparing to open another, one that would lead to a legendary tale. Some time passed, and the tension from the west still hung in the air. Then one day, two young men, each with an extraordinary presence, appeared at the palace gates at the very same time. They had come from different horizons, both ready for a contest that would be etched into the annals of history forever. The stage was set for a legendary showdown, a battle not just of strength, but of heart and spirit, to win the hand of the beautiful Princess Myra. After King Hung rejected the Western King's proposal, a strange energy fell over the Van Lang kingdom. Dark clouds gathered from the east, while a brilliant light glowed in the west. As the king and his advisors pondered their next move, two extraordinary strangers appeared at the palace gates, both seeking the hand of the beautiful Princess Myra. The first was the Mountain Lord, emerging from the mists of the three peaks. He had the rugged beauty of ancient stone, and flowers bloomed where he walked. The second was the Sea Lord, stepping from the crashing waves. He wore a robe of sea foam and carried the scent of the deep ocean. Both were deities, and both were determined to win the princess. King Hung, in awe, invited them into the grand hall to demonstrate their powers. The Mountain Lord went first. With a simple gesture, he raised towering mountain ranges from the flat plains, creating silent sentinels against the wind. With another wave, lush forests grew, filled with birds and beasts that bowed to him. His power was one of life and eternal protection. Then, the Sea Lord stepped forward. He flicked his wrist, and thunder cracked as rain poured down. Water shot up from the ground in twisting pillars, like dragons ascending to the sky. Ancient sea monsters, giant serpents, and thousand-year-old turtles rose from the depths, all acknowledging his authority as the ocean's sovereign. Their powers were perfectly matched. One represented the steadfastness of the earth, the other, the raw fury of the sea. King Hung and his advisors were stumped. They debated for hours, but couldn't decide who was more worthy of protecting the princess and the kingdom. Finally, the king stood and made a historic announcement. Both of you possess miraculous magic, an earth-shattering talent. I cannot choose one over the other. Therefore, a challenge will decide. Tomorrow, whoever brings the wedding gifts to this palace first shall wed Princess Myra. The gifts were no ordinary treasures. The king demanded 100 trays of sticky rice, 100 pairs of chung cakes, a 9-tusked elephant, a 9-spurred rooster, and a 9-maned horse. These were legendary items, requiring not just divine power, but also incredible speed and determination to find. The stage was set for an epic race between the mountains and the sea. Who would triumph and win the heart of the princess? As the mist still clung to the distant ridges, long before the sky had brightened, the capital of the Van Lang kingdom was already buzzing with anticipation. King Hung's challenge was no mere test of wealth. It was a trial of destiny. Although the decree seemed fair, the king's wise advisors saw the hidden truth. The gifts he demanded, elephants with 9 tusks, roosters with 9 spurs, and horses with 9 red manes, were all treasures of the great forests, well within the reach of the Lord of the Heights. It seemed King Hung's heart had already chosen the Mountain Lord, the one who embodied the silent, steady strength of Mother Earth. Just as the first sunbeam broke through the leaves, a thunderous roar shook the very ground. The Mountain Lord appeared on the horizon, moving with the majesty of a supreme ruler. Behind him trailed a fantastical procession: giant white elephants with long curved tusks, roosters with spurs as sharp as enchanted blades, and steeds with manes that burned like the sun. The Mountain Lord had used his divine power to summon these legendary creatures from the 3 peaks. When King Hung saw these incredible offerings, his heart swelled with joy. With a smile and a solemn nod, he ordered Princess Myra to prepare for her journey. Amidst jubilant music, Princess Myra, as radiant as a wild blossom, officially became the bride of the Mountain Lord. As their wedding procession moved, flowers bloomed in their path, escorting her toward the soaring peaks. But their joy was fleeting. Just moments after the procession left, a tremor from the distant sea shook the earth. The Sea Lord had arrived. The deity of the depths brought with him countless black pearls, red corals, and treasures from his underwater palace. But he was one step too late. When he learned that Princess Myra had already departed with the Mountain Lord, his face twisted from eager anticipation into the ashen blue of absolute fury. His eyes burned with the fire of wounded pride. He let out a world-shaking roar, vowing that if he could not have her, then no one would. Without a moment's hesitation, the Sea Lord threw his arms to the heavens. Instantly, the clear sky was torn apart by silver lightning. Dark clouds rolled in like a shadowy army, swallowing the sun. The wind began to shriek, and the once calm seawater rose into colossal walls. Riding a magnificent water dragon, the Sea Lord commanded the rains and summoned the gales, leading an army of sea monsters into the heart of the land. Wherever the water rose, homes crumbled, crops were submerged in brine, and the desperate cries of the people echoed across the plains. This was no longer a competition for a bride. It had become a titanic war that would reshape the very heavens and earth. Seeing his kingdom and his people plunged into chaos, the Mountain Lord did not hesitate. He stood tall on the highest peak, a steadfast shield against the furious onslaught. With a single thought, he raised the mountains higher and higher, creating an unbreakable wall against the rising tide. As the Sea Lord's waves crashed against the stone, the Mountain Lord commanded legions of beasts from the forest to fight back. Bears, tigers, and giant pythons charged down the slopes, clashing with the sea monsters in a chaotic, earth-shattering battle. Rocks and trees, guided by the Mountain Lord's will, flew through the air like divine projectiles, striking down the aquatic invaders. The sky was a dizzying scene of swirling water and flying earth, a cosmic battle between the forces of mountain and sea. For days and nights, the war raged on. The Sea Lord, consumed by his rage, relentlessly pushed his watery assault forward. But the Mountain Lord, with his unyielding spirit, met every wave with an unshakable wall of earth and stone. His resolve was as deep-rooted as the mountains themselves. Finally exhausted, and his forces depleted, the Sea Lord was forced to retreat. The waters receded, leaving behind a land scarred by the conflict. The Mountain Lord had protected his love and his kingdom. Though defeated, the Sea Lord's pride was forever wounded. His hatred never faded. And so, every year, when the storms gather and the rivers swell, he returns. He unleashes the floods, driven by his eternal grudge, hoping to one day reclaim what he lost. But every year, the Mountain Lord and the people of the land stand ready. They build dikes, strengthen the earth, and stand firm against the watery onslaught, forever reenacting the legendary battle. It's a timeless story of love, jealousy, and the enduring resilience of the people against the forces of nature. The skies over Van Lang collapsed into a thick shroud of storm-tossed darkness. Consumed by the madness of rejection, the Sea Lord summoned every ounce of power from the abyss. The waters surged in violent swells, swallowing golden rice fields and sweeping into peaceful villages. Homes splintered like driftwood, and the cries of livestock were drowned by the roar of the raging tides. Hideous sea monsters crawled from the depths, wielding weapons of jagged coral and giant fish bones, marching in legion under the command of their watery master. In an instant, the entire Van Lang kingdom faced the threat of being erased by a great flood, unlike any seen in history. Yet the Viet people never yielded. In this hour of peril, their unity burned like an eternal flame. Royal advisors, soldiers, and commoners, from the elderly to the children, stood as one. In that moment, a sacred sound echoed across the rivers and mountains. The pulse of the holy bronze drum. It was more than a signal. It was the soul of the nation, stirring their hearts and bestowing them with mystical strength. Inspired by the gods and their faith in King Hung, the strongest men rushed into an uneven battle against nature. They didn't wield swords, but shovels and hoes, digging earth and stone to build the first resilient dikes. This was the birth of the enduring embankments that would protect these lands for millennia to come. These stretches of earth rose amidst the wind and rain, standing tall to block the catastrophic destruction of the tsunamis. Atop the summit of the three peaks, the Mountain Lord stood as immovable as a giant stone statue. His glowing gaze fixed on the angry waters screaming at his feet. He did not waver. With the authority of a god who ruled the great forests, he extended his arm toward the distant ranges. A world-shaking miracle occurred. Massive hills began to shift, and jagged mountain ranges moved like chess pieces in the hands of a deity. He raised ramparts of eternal granite, intercepting the crashing cataracts that sought to swallow the mountaintop. For every inch, the Sea Lord raised the water. The Mountain Lord caused the mountains to grow higher in response. As the swirling floods rose toward the middle of the heavens, the peaks stretched until they touched the azure clouds. Not a single drop of water could breach them. The Mountain Lord's army, comprised of fierce beasts and forest spirits, coordinated seamlessly with the people of Van Lang. From the heights, they unleashed storms of giant boulders, hurling 1,000-pound rocks down upon the Sea Lord's aquatic monsters. The battle raged with terrifying ferocity. On one side was the destructive might of the ocean. On the other, the iron will of Mother Earth and the human spirit. The roar of the waves collided with the battle cries of the soldiers, creating a heroic anthem between heaven and earth. No matter how violent the Sea Lord became, he could not shake the resolve of the mountain god or the unity of the people of Van Lang. As the salt-choked brine surged towards the land, the mountain lord stood as an immovable sentinel. For every wave that tried to breach the slopes, he commanded the earth to rise, forming a mighty peak to block the path. This celestial race between the deluge and the stone reached a fever pitch. The Sea Lord unleashed a second, more violent surge. But the Mountain Lord answered by raising a second majestic height. Then came the third wave, a monstrous wall of water so immense it seemed designed to swallow the sun. In response, the Lord of Earth summoned a third summit, a peak so tall it pierced the very clouds. It is from this miraculous defense that the sacred mountain of Tan Viet earned its legendary name, the Three Peaks. The battle raged for months. The sky was a constant storm of thunder and lightning, a cataclysm that seemed to signal the end of days. But even the fathomless energy of the ocean has its limits when pitted against the steadfast resolve of the earth. The Sea Lord's power began to wane. His waves grew shallow, his thunderous roar turned to a whimper, and his monstrous army dissolved into the foam. Exhaustion finally claimed him, with a final cry of bitter resentment that echoed through the deepest trenches of the sea. The Sea Lord withdrew his forces, retreating to his lightless, abyssal home. With the waters receded, peace returned to the land. Under the watchful gaze of King Hong, the triumphant Mountain Lord and Princess Myra began their new life of harmony upon the high summits they had defended. The kingdom was saved, and love had conquered all. However, the Sea Lord's malice did not disappear. It festered in the darkness, growing into an eternal grudge. To this day, his hatred remains. Every year, during the 7th lunar month, when the skies darken with the promise of rain, the Sea Lord remembers his ancient defeat. He summons the storms once more, sending waves and tempests to strike at the Three Peaks in a cycle of unending vengeance. And every year, just as in the days of old, the waters break against the unyielding stone, and the Sea Lord is forced to retreat in bitter failure. This powerful legend of the Mountain Lord and the Sea Lord has become a profound metaphor for the Vietnamese people. It's a testament to their enduring, age-old struggle against the forces of nature, particularly the yearly monsoon floods that threaten their lands. It symbolizes their unbreakable spirit, their resilience, and their unwavering will to protect their home, no matter the odds. It's a story not just of gods and monsters, but of the very soul of a nation. Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed this journey into Vietnamese mythology, don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit that bell icon so you never miss another legendary tale. See you next time.